Welcome back to the channel, Rarest Coins. Today we're diving into one of the most talked about coins in modern American history, the 1965 Washington quarter. Now, you've probably heard the stories. Maybe you saw a headline about a 1965 quarter selling for $1.7 million, or maybe you've just found one in your change and thought, could this be the one? Well, in this video, we're going deep into the history of the 1965 quarter, the major change in U.S. coinage that happened that year, and most importantly, what makes some versions of this coin worth a fortune, including the ones that collectors say could be worth over $1.7 million. So, if you've got a 1965 quarter, or you're just curious about how a common-looking coin could be a hidden treasure, stick around. This is a video you don't want to miss. Section 1: A turning point in U.S. coinage. To understand why the 1965 quarter is so important, you need to know what was happening in the United States at the time. Before 1965, U.S. quarters were made of 90% silver and 10% copper, but in the early 60s, silver prices started to rise. The demand for silver was increasing in both industry and investment, and that led to a coin shortage because people began hoarding coins made of real silver. In response, the U.S. government passed the Coinage Act of 1965, which removed silver from dimes and quarters starting that very year. That's right, 1965 was the first year the Washington quarter was struck with a copper-nickel clad composition instead of solid silver. That's why the 1965 quarter marks such an important transition in U.S. coin history. It was the beginning of the modern quarter as we know it today. Section 2: The design and minting of the 1965 quarter. The design of the 1965 quarter stayed the same. It features the familiar bust of George Washington on the front with the word liberty above and "In God We Trust" on the left side. The date 1965 is shown at the bottom. On the reverse is an eagle perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches beneath it. One key detail is that there is no mint mark on 1965 quarters. That's because during this transition period, the U.S. Mint temporarily removed mint marks to discourage coin hoarding. Now, here's the thing: the U.S. Mint struck over 1.8 billion quarters in 1965. That's billion with a B. So on the surface, this doesn't sound like a rare coin at all, but when it comes to coins, sometimes the story is hidden in the details. Section 3: The million-dollar mystery. Here's where things get really interesting. There are rumors and claims online about a 1965 quarter being sold for as much as $1.7 million. While there is no official public auction confirming that price, there are real reasons why some 1965 quarters are incredibly valuable. It all comes down to one thing: mint errors. During the transition from silver to clad coinage in 1965, there were a few mistakes made by the mint. A very small number of 1,965 quarters were accidentally struck on leftover silver planchets from 1964. That means a coin that looks like a regular 1965 quarter could actually be made of 90% silver. Those silver 1965 quarters are extremely rare. Only a handful have ever been discovered, and they've sold at auction for thousands and even tens of thousands of dollars. But here's the kicker: if a new example were to be discovered, especially in pristine, uncirculated condition, it could easily set a new record at auction. Some experts believe it could be worth over $1 million and maybe even approach that $1.7 million mark if it's truly one of a kind. Section 4: How to know if you have a rare 1965 quarter. Right? So now you're probably wondering, how can I tell if my 1965 quarter is one of the rare silver ones? Here's what to look for. First, check the edge. A regular 1965 clad quarter will show a copper-colored line running along the edge. That's because it has a copper core and a nickel outer layer, but a silver quarter will have a solid silver color all the way through with no copper stripes. Second, weigh the coin. A regular clad quarter from 1965 should weigh about 5.67 grams. A silver quarter weighs about 6.25 grams. If your quarter weighs more than 6 grams, get it checked immediately. Third, listen to the sound. Silver quarters have a higher pitched ring when dropped compared to the duller thud of clad quarters. You can test this by dropping a known silver coin next to it and comparing the sound. Fourth, look at the condition. While circulated silver quarters are still valuable, those in mint state condition can multiply in price dramatically. The better the condition, the higher the value. And finally, if you think you might have a silver 1965 quarter, the best thing to do is have it evaluated by a professional grading company like PCGS or NGC. They can authenticate the coin and determine its true value. Section 5: Not just silver, other rare rorsets, not just silver planchets. you should be looking for. There are also known examples of 1,965 quarters with other errors like off-center strikes, double die obverse coins, and even coins struck on foreign planchets. One famous example is a 1965 quarter struck on a dime planchet. That means the coin is smaller, thinner, and missing part of the design. Those kinds of rare mint errors have sold for thousands of dollars, so always look closely at your coin. If something seems off, trust your instinct and get a second opinion. Section 6. The market for rare quarters. In recent years, the market for rare coins has exploded. High-end collectors and investors are willing to pay massive premiums for rare coins in top condition, especially those that are one of a kind or tied to a significant moment in U.S. coin history, like the transition from silver to clad in 1965. That's why if a flawless silver 1965 quarter ever came up for sale at a major auction house, it could absolutely reach into the hundreds of thousands and possibly even hit that $1.7 million figure if bidding got competitive enough. Section 7. Final thoughts. So is your 1965 quarter worth $1.7 million? Probably not. But could it be worth more than face value? Absolutely. The 1965 Washington quarter is one of the most fascinating coins in modern American history. It's a coin from a year of change, a coin that marked the end of silver and the beginning of something new, and hidden among those billions of coins are a few rare mistakes that could be worth more than you ever imagined. So go ahead, check your change, search through your coin jar, take a second look at those old quarters, because you never know, that ordinary looking coin might be something extraordinary. Outro. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more videos about rare coins and hidden treasures. Have you ever found a rare coin? Or do you have a 1965 quarter that looks a little different? Drop a comment down below and share your story. I read every comment and love hearing from fellow collectors. Until next time, happy hunting, and remember, every coin has a story. Some are just worth a whole lot more than others. Would you like a downloadable version of this script or help creating visuals for YouTube, such as on-screen graphics, thumbnail ideas, or keyword tags? Let me know and I'll be happy to assist. Welcome back to the channel, Rarest Coins. Today we're diving into one of the most talked about coins in American pocket change, the 1971 D Washington quarter. There's a lot of buzz out there about a version of this coin being worth up to $1.4 million. But is that true? Is there really a quarter from 1971 with a Denver mint mark that could make you a millionaire? Grab your coin jars, because this video is going to walk you through the facts, the history, the value, and the wild stories behind this coin. Section 1. The history of the Washington quarter. The Washington quarter was first issued in 1932 to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington. It was supposed to be a one-year-only coin, but it became so popular that it replaced the standing Liberty quarter permanently. By 1971, the Washington quarter had already been in circulation for nearly 40 years, but the early 70s were a turning point in U.S. coinage. Remember, the U.S. Mint stopped using silver in quarters after 1964, so by 1971 quarters were being made of copper and nickel instead of the more valuable silver alloy. In 1971, quarters were struck at 3 different mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Denver mint is where the 1971 D quarters came from, with that small D mint mark located just to the right of Washington's ponytail. Section 2. The mintage and design. Over 258 million Washington quarters were minted in Denver in 1971. That's a huge number, which usually means the coin isn't rare at all. But when it comes to coin collecting and values, it's not just about how many were made, it's about how many rare errors or variations exist. The design itself features the familiar portrait of George Washington on the front, or obverse, with the word Liberty above his head, the motto "In God We Trust" on the left, and the year 1971 below. On the reverse, you've got the eagle perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches below. Section 3. So why the hype about $1.40 million? Now let's get into the juicy part. Why are people talking about this coin being worth $1.4 million? Well, here's the deal. There's no official record of a 1971 D quarter selling for that much, but what has stirred up the rumors are the incredibly rare mint errors and high-grade coins that sometimes come out of nowhere. Collectors and dealers always chase what's known as discovery coins or off-metal strikes. These are coins that somehow got struck on the wrong type of metal or planchet. For example, if a quarter was accidentally struck on a silver planchet or even a foreign coin blank, it could become extremely rare and valuable. There are also coins that are struck with double dies or have striking errors like off-center images, weak strikes, or coins with missing clad layers. These kinds of error coins can sometimes sell for thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. There was also one rumored case where in 1971, D quarter may have been struck on a leftover 40% silver planchet, which would have been extremely rare since silver quarters officially ended in 1964 and 40% silver was used only on Kennedy half dollars through 1970. If proven authentic, that kind of mint error could fetch a massive price. Section 4, grading and value of regular coins. Let's get back to reality for a moment. The typical 1971 D Washington quarter that you find in your change is worth just face value. That's right, just 25 cents. Unless it's in exceptional condition or has a rare error, it's not going to make you rich. However, if your coin is in brilliant uncirculated condition or is what collectors call MS67 or higher, meaning it's practically flawless, then you're in luck. Those high-grade examples can be worth anywhere from $50 to over a few hundred depending on the market. If your 1971 D quarter has a visible mint error or looks unusual, it's definitely worth having it evaluated by a professional coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. Section 5, what to look for. So if you want to hunt for that potential jackpot, what should you be looking for? Here's a quick checklist. 1. Check for any off-center striking or missing details. 2. Look at the edge of the coin. If it seems thinner or missing its nickel coating, it could be a planchet error. 3. Use a magnifying glass to check for doubling in the letters or date, especially around "In God We Trust" and the word Liberty. 4. Weigh your coin. A normal clad quarter should weigh 5.67 grams. If yours weighs more or less, it could indicate a rare planchet. 5. Finally, always check for that Denver mint mark. The D shows it was minted in Denver, which is key for this particular coin. Section 6, final thoughts. So is your 1971 D quarter worth $1.4 million? Probably not, but that doesn't mean it's worthless. There are absolutely rare varieties out there, and some error coins do sell for tens of thousands, even if not millions. The key is to know what to look for and get expert advice if you think you've found something special, and who knows, maybe you'll be the one to discover the next big coin that shakes up the numismatic world. Outro. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button and subscribe for more coin collecting content. Drop a comment if you've ever found a rare coin or want me to cover a specific year or mint mark. Until next time, happy hunting and keep checking your change. Would you like a version with on-screen text suggestions or visuals for a full YouTube production? Let me know if you need this in a downloadable format too. Welcome back to the channel, Rarest Coins. Today we are talking about a Washington quarter that might be sitting in your pocket right now and could be worth a life-changing amount of money. We're talking about the 1983 P Washington quarter. There are stories and rumors floating around that one of these coins might be worth up to $1.2 million. That's right, a quarter from the 1980s that you could find in circulation today might be worth more than a luxury home. But is this just internet hype, or is there some truth behind it? Stay tuned, because in this video we're going to explore the real history behind the 1983 P quarter, the surprising reason it could be valuable, and how to tell if the coin you're holding could be one of those ultra-rare high-value finds. Section 1, a look at the Washington quarter. Let's start with the basics. The Washington quarter was introduced in 1932 to commemorate George Washington's 200th birthday and has been one of the most iconic pieces of American coinage ever. Since designed by John Flanagan, the obverse shows a profile of George Washington, while the reverse from 1932 to 1998 featured an eagle perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches underneath. By 1983, the coin was well into its modern clad composition, meaning it was made of copper sandwiched between layers of nickel. This was a shift from the silver quarters made before 1965, but just because they stopped using silver doesn't mean the coins became worthless. In fact, some of the most valuable coins out there today are made of base metals. Section 2, why 1983 was different. Here's where things start to get interesting. The year 1983 was not just any ordinary year for coin production. The United States Mint was still recovering from the economic turmoil of the late 70s and early 80s, which meant something very important for collectors. No official mint sets were produced in 1982 or 1983. That means there were no collector quality uncirculated coins packaged and sold by the mint in those years. So nearly every 1983 coin that exists today came from circulation. That also means finding a pristine 1983 P quarter is much harder than for other years. That scarcity of high-grade examples is part of the reason this coin has drawn so much attention from collectors, and when rarity meets demand, prices can skyrocket. Section 3, the 1983 P mint mark and mintage. Now, let's zoom in on the 1983 P quarter. The P mint mark means it was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, which struck over 673 million of these Quarters, that sounds like a huge number, and it is, but most of these coins went straight into circulation and got heavily used. So if you find a 1983 P quarter that looks nearly perfect with no scratches, bright luster, and sharp detail, that coin is already rare. And if it turns out to have an error or something unusual about it, you might be holding something truly special. Section 4. What about the $1.2 million quarter? Now, let's address the big question: can a 1983 P quarter really be worth $1.2 million? The short answer is that there is no public auction where a 1983 P quarter has sold for that exact amount. However, here's where things get exciting. There are known 1983 P quarters with dramatic mint errors, such as being struck on the wrong planchet, missing clad layers, or even featuring double die obverse or reverse designs. A well-known example is the 1983 P quarter struck on a copper penny planchet, which has sold for thousands of dollars at auction. There are also near-perfect specimens graded by PCGS at MS67 or higher that have sold for over $1,000 simply because of their condition. Now imagine this: a one-of-a-kind 1983 P quarter with a unique mint error that has never been seen before. If such a coin were to surface, it could break auction records, especially if it's confirmed to be the only one of its kind in the world of numismatics. When rarity meets condition and demand, anything is possible, and yes, even a $1 million quarter is not out of the question. Section 5. How to spot a rare 1983 P quarter. So, what should you be looking for in your pocket change or coin jar? Here are the key things to check for. 1. Look at the overall condition. If the coin looks like it's fresh out of a mint set with no wear or scratches, you might be holding a rare uncirculated example. 2. Examine both sides for doubling, especially on the date. The word liberty and the phrase "in God we trust" doubling can add significant value. 3. Check the edges. A normal clad quarter should show a copper stripe on the edge. If yours is missing that stripe or looks silver all the way around, it might have a missing clad layer or have been struck on the wrong planchet. 4. Weigh the coin. A standard 1983 P quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams. If your coin weighs significantly more or less, that's a huge clue that something is off, and it might be rare. 5. Look for strike-through errors, planchet cracks, or other visible flaws that occurred during minting. These can be valuable, especially if dramatic. And finally, if you find a coin that seems unusual or flawless, it's worth sending it to a professional grading company like PCGS or NGC for evaluation. Section 6. Why condition matters more than you think. Remember, since there were no official uncirculated mint sets for 1983, finding high-grade coins is incredibly difficult. That's why collectors pay top dollar for coins in MS65, MS66, or higher. The highest known grades for 1983 P quarters are extremely rare, and any new discovery in mint condition could draw intense attention from collectors, dealers, and auction houses. Section 7. Final thoughts. So, is your 1983 P Washington quarter worth $1.2 million? Probably not, but is it possible that you're holding a coin worth hundreds or even thousands? Absolutely. This is one of those rare modern coins where condition, rarity, and a bit of luck can all come together to create something truly valuable. The key is to stay educated, take a close look at your change, and never underestimate the potential value of something that looks ordinary. If you think you found something special, always get it graded and authenticated. That's the best way to find out its true value. Outro. Thanks for watching, and if you found this video helpful or interesting, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into rare and valuable coins. Let us know in the comments if you've ever found a 1983 P quarter and what condition it was in, or if you want us to cover another specific year or coin. Let us know down below. Keep checking your change, stay curious, and you just might find a hidden treasure. Would you like a downloadable version of this script or a visual storyboard layout for video editing? I can also help with thumbnail titles or SEO tags to get this video seen by more people. Just let me know. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are uncovering the mystery behind a seemingly ordinary coin that might just change your life: the 1991 P Washington quarter. Some people claim that one of these coins has been valued at over $1.3 million. That's right, a single quarter that you could possibly find in your pocket change might be worth more than a house. But what's the truth behind this claim? Is it real? Is there actually a version of the 1991 P quarter that's worth over $1 million, or is it all just hype? In this video, we are going to explore the history of the Washington quarter, the minting details of the 1991 P version, the rare errors you need to watch out for, and how you could spot a potentially life-changing coin. So stick around, because you do not want to miss what could be sitting right under your nose or buried at the bottom of your change jar. Section 1. A quick history of the Washington quarter. Let's rewind for just a moment. The Washington quarter was Introduced in 1932 as a tribute to George Washington's 200th birthday, designed by sculptor John Flanagan, the coin features the classic portrait of Washington on the front and an eagle with outstretched wings on the back. By 1991, this design had been around for decades and had become a familiar part of American pocket change. The 1991 quarter was made during a time when coins were no longer struck in silver. Instead, they were minted with a copper core and a nickel outer layer. This means most of these coins were made for everyday use, not for collectors. Section 2. The 1991 P quarter production and mint mark. Now, let's zero in on the 1991 P quarter. The P stands for the Philadelphia Mint, which produced over 570 million of these quarters in that year. That's a staggering number, which means in general this coin is not considered rare. The mint mark P appears just to the right of Washington's ponytail on the obverse of the coin. Unless your coin has an error or is an extremely high grade, it's usually worth face value. However, and this is a big however, there are some exceptions that are anything but ordinary. Section 3. The $1.3 million quarter. Fact or fiction? Here's where things get interesting. There have been reports and rumors circulating online about a 1991 P quarter that sold or is valued at up to $1.3 million. So let's break this down. As of now, there is no verified public auction record of a 1991 P quarter selling for that exact amount, but there have been coins from this era that sold for tens of thousands due to ultra-rare mint errors or incredibly high grades from professional grading services. Sometimes when a coin is struck on the wrong type of planchet or has a one-of-a-kind minting error, it becomes a collector's dream. There is speculation that one or more 1991 P quarters were struck on a planchet mint for another denomination, like a silver planchet from a Kennedy half dollar, or even a blank intended for a foreign coin. If a coin like that exists and is verified, it could easily be worth hundreds of thousands, if not over $1 million, simply due to its uniqueness and rarity. Section 4. What makes a 1991 P quarter valuable? Most 1991 P quarters in circulation today are worth only 25 cents, but here's what makes some stand out. 1. Mint errors. These include double die strikes, off-center strikes, missing clad layers, or wrong planchet strikes. 2. Condition. A 1991 P quarter in pristine condition, especially those graded MS67 or higher by PCGS or NGC, can be worth significantly more. Some examples have sold for over $1,000 just because of their flawless appearance. 3. Rarity. A one-of-a-kind or first known example of a specific mint error can push the value way beyond normal collector levels. If a coin like this exists and makes its way to a major auction house with proper grading and authentication, that's where those million-dollar figures start to enter the conversation. Section 5. How to check your 1991 P quarter. You're probably wondering, how can I tell if my 1991 P quarter is valuable? Here's a simple checklist. First, inspect the mint mark. Make sure it's clearly AP for Philadelphia. Second, look closely for any doubling, especially in the date, the words "In God We Trust" or the word "Liberty." Third, check the edges. A normal clad quarter has a copper stripe on the edge. If your coin has a completely silver-colored edge, it might be a rare error coin. Fourth, weigh the coin. A normal 1991 clad quarter should weigh 5.67 grams. If your coin weighs significantly more or less, it could have been struck on the wrong planchet. Fifth, consider the condition. If the coin looks like it just came out of a mint set, it could be worth sending in for grading. If you think you've got something unusual or valuable, it's worth having the coin checked out by a professional grading service. Section 6. Final thoughts and tips for coin hunters. So, is your 1991 P quarter worth $1.3 million? Probably not, but the world of coin collecting is full of surprises, and every once in a while someone discovers a coin that breaks all the rules. The key is to stay informed, be observant, and keep looking. Sometimes it's not just luck, it's about knowing what to look for and taking the time to check your change carefully. If you love coin collecting, or you're just curious about the hidden treasures in your pocket, don't ignore those older quarters. They may look ordinary, but sometimes the most valuable coins are the ones everyone else overlooks. Outro. Thanks for watching. If you learned something new today, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more videos on rare coins and hidden treasures in your change. And let me know in the comments if you've ever found a coin that turned out to be valuable, or if you'd like me to cover another specific year or coin next time. Until then, keep searching, stay curious, and who knows, maybe your next quarter will be worth more than $1 million. Would you like this script adapted into a video storyboard format, or do you need a downloadable text file? Let me know how you plan to use it, and I can help you polish it further if needed. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're talking about a Washington quarter that you might have in your pocket right now, the 1995 D-quarter, that's right, a coin that most people think is worth just 25 cents might actually be hiding a value of over $1 million. You may have seen articles, headlines, or even viral videos claiming that a rare 1995 D Washington quarter sold for $1.1 million, but is that fact, fiction, or something in between? In this video, we're going to break down the full story, the history, the errors, the market value, and exactly what to look for if you think you might have one of these ultra-valuable coins. So grab your change jar, and let's dig into the truth behind the mysterious and potentially million-dollar 1995 D-quarter. Section 1A, quick history of the Washington quarter. Let's start at the beginning. The Washington quarter was first issued in 1932 to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan. This coin quickly became a permanent part of American currency. The front of the coin shows the profile of George Washington with the word liberty above his head, the motto "In God We Trust" on the left side, and the year of issue at the bottom. The back of the coin features an eagle with outstretched wings perched on a bundle of arrows and surrounded by olive branches. This design stayed the same all the way through 1998 before the 50-state quarters series began. Section 2, the 1995 D-quarter at a glance. Now let's talk about the specific coin we're focused on today, the 1995 D-quarter. The D mint mark tells us it was struck at the Denver Mint, and in that year more than 1.1 billion of these coins were produced. That's billion with a B. So how can a coin minted in such high numbers be worth anything more than face value? That's where things get interesting. You see, even among billions of coins, sometimes mistakes happen, and when they do, those coins can become incredibly valuable to collectors. Section 3, the rumors of the $1.1 million quarter. Now, about that $1 million price tag, there have been widespread rumors, especially online, that a rare version of the 1995 D-quarter was discovered with a unique mint error so rare and so dramatic that collectors estimated its value at up to $1.1 million, while no verified auction has recorded a 1995 D-quarter selling for exactly that amount. Some coins with extremely rare mint errors have reached staggering prices, especially when authenticated and graded at the highest levels. So what kinds of things would make a 1995 D-quarter worth that much? Let's break it down. Section 4, what makes the 1995 D-quarter valuable? One of the biggest things to watch for is a mint error. These can come in many forms, and some of the rarest include off-center strikes where the design is shifted far to one side, double die obverse where parts of the image or lettering are doubled due to a minting process mistake, wrong planchet errors where the quarter is accidentally struck on a coin blank mint for another denomination like a dime, or a foreign coin missing clad layer, which gives the coin a coppery appearance instead of its usual silver color. Coins with dramatic die cracks, cuts, or other visible flaws from worn minting equipment. Another huge factor is grade and condition. Coins that are graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC as MS67 or MS68, meaning mint state and nearly flawless, can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. And if a coin with an extreme mint error is also in that perfect condition, that's when you start entering record-breaking territory, and yes, even million-dollar potential. Section 5, how to tell if you have a rare 1995 D-quarter. So how can you check if your 1995 D-quarter might be one of the valuable ones? Here's what you do. First, examine the mint mark. Look just to the right of Washington's ponytail. You should see a small D. If it's there, that confirms you've got a 1995 D. Second, check for doubling using a magnifying glass. Look especially at the word liberty, "In God We Trust," and the date. If any of the letters or numbers appear shadowed or doubled, that could be a sign of a valuable double die. Third, look closely at the coin's edge. A normal quarter should show a copper-colored core on the edge. If the coin is missing that stripe or looks different, it may be a wrong planchet or clad layer error. Fourth, weigh the coin. A normal 1995 D-quarter should weigh around 5.67 grams. If it weighs significantly more or less, that's a red flag, and you should have it checked. And fifth, inspect the overall condition. If the coin appears shiny with no scratches, wear, or dings, it may be worth submitting to a professional grading company. Section 6, notable 1995 quarter errors and prices. Let's look at a few real examples of valuable 1995 quarters. Some 1995 quarters with strong doubling on the obverse have sold for over $1,000. There are examples of 1995 D-quarters struck on penny planchets that have sold for more than $3,000, and a few high-grade 1995 D-quarters in near-perfect condition have reached sale prices of over $5,000 just because of their grade. Now imagine if a unique error was discovered, a one-of-a-kind minting mistake that no one else had found, if authenticated and sold at a major auction that coin could absolutely reach into six or even seven figures, and that's where the talk of a $1.1 million quarter comes from. Section 7 Final thoughts. So, is your 1995 D quarter worth $1.1 million? Probably not, but that doesn't mean it's worthless. Far from it. Coins from the 1990s are just now starting to gain the attention of serious collectors, especially because they are modern enough that people still have them in circulation, yet old enough that high-quality examples are hard to find. If you take the time to learn what to look for, check your change carefully, and get your coins professionally graded, when something seems unusual, you just might find yourself holding a valuable piece of American history. And who knows, maybe one day a newly discovered error will shake up the coin collecting world again, and that record-breaking 1995 D quarter will make headlines for real. Outro. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this video helpful or interesting, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more content on rare coins, valuable finds, and the hidden treasures you might already own. Let us know in the comments, have you found a 1995 D quarter in your collection? What condition is it in? And if you want us to cover a specific year or coin next, drop your request below. Until next time, keep hunting, keep learning, and always check your change. Would you like help designing the thumbnail or adding a version of this with on-screen callouts and visual cues for editing? I can also format it for subtitles or export it for video use. Just let me know.